Hi, friends. Welcome to Joy for Life podcast. My name is Ace, and I am energized to talk to you about joy, life, love, and everything in between. All right, friends. Welcome back to Joy for Life. I am so excited to be back here with you all. Listen, we're going to have a segment at some point where I introduce you to the masterminds behind this incredible operation, Sam and Annabelle. They're hilarious. And so, yeah, stay tuned for that. But today, you guys, guess who I got to say yes to coming and being on Joy for Life? My beautiful friend, sis, beautiful, beautiful soul, Chris, period, y'all. Like, listen, if you don't know who she is, you must have been living under a rock for some time now. It's okay. We're going to catch you up. She is a business owner, a dog owner, like powerhouse writer, producer, editor. Like, I mean, like, what don't you do? What don't you do, Chris?
I don't stay up past 9.
I know. I'm working on that too. So my beautiful friend, Chris Rogers, is here, and she is an incredible soul, someone who I met a few years ago at the yoga studio at White Heat Yoga, and I'm energized to introduce you all to her today. I reached out to her and I said, okay, can you send me a bio or something, right? Because I know that she does so many amazing things specifically geared towards women, which is why I'm excited to have this podcast drop during Women's History Month. And we're recording this during February, Heart Health Month, and which is one of the, I guess, top diseases that takes women too early. So it just really, the heart space, Chris will tap into the mind space and business. She's a boss. And so I'm so excited for y'all to learn more about her. She sent me a bio and she said it was old, but here's the thing that stands out to me the most in here is that she started this journey of growing up in Houston, Texas, to a single mom. Shout out to Zoe Fashion. We love her. In a home full of music, entertainment, and fashion. At 11, her journey with arts evolved into writing poetry and music shortly after. By 14, she was singing and teaching. What's in the water in Houston? What y'all singing?
I don't know.
I mean, it's you, Beyonce, Meg. I mean, it's like, what is in the water? Teaching herself how to engineer, resulting in her own producing of her own songs. I mean, I'm sorry. I just learned PowerPoint when I started at Auburn. So way to show us up at 14, Chris. And she moved to LA in 2012. She quit her job. I've been there. We've all talked about quitting our jobs, stepping away from what no longer brings us joy in hopes of reaching her fullest potential, which she did and maximized upon. Like in LA, I haven't only known her for a few years. I can definitely speak to that. She's done so many incredible things. And one thing that we will tap in a little bit today is that she is a thriver and a survivor and a powerhouse, leaving a situation that I know all too well, domestic violence. My mother knew all too well. And that inspired her latest ventures to becoming a motivational speaker to young girls around the world. And while staying true to her vision and plan and inspiring the masses with her God-given talent. So without further ado, we got Chris Period on the podcast, y'all.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for saying yes. And who do we have here? Our special guest.
This is Brazy. This is the little pumpkin.
Oh, we've got Brazy, y'all. If y'all are not watching, we got Brazy here holding it down, making sure that everybody's where they're supposed to be, which is like what we all need. So here's the thing. I want to start right away with what is bringing you joy right now?
Honestly, it's living in the moment. So I wake up every day and I'm just like, what's going to make me happy right now? Not today, right now. So I'll get up and I'll take the day as it comes. And that's what makes me happy.
Oh, I love
Brings
that.
me joy.
I love that. Being in the moment. That's something where I talked about with regards to like my healing journey and talking to people when they ask me about, I talk to a lot of people, coach a lot of women, and some men too. They have, they're like, I've lost my mom. I've lost my dad. I'm just like, I've lost my job. I'm like trying to get back to me. And they're not really sure where to start. So I say, let's just start in this moment right here and right now. So I love that. So was that something that you had to, that somebody kind of like guided you through, or where did that like lesson come from?
I think, actually, there's someone called Muji Baba.
Okay. Muji's my guy.
Yeah, he's my guy too.
That's our guy. So shout out to Muji. Okay.
Muji Baba. He literally taught me, like, he helped me change my mind and learn how to live in the moment. And he would always just bring things up like, none of the things you think about are real. Like, just stop. Your mind is telling you that the world is like bad, but it's not. Like, stop and just be in the moment, be present, and you'll start to understand like things are beautiful around you. So he helped me really learn to stop moving so fast and just like, it's gonna be okay. And then things are not happening for a reason, obviously. So what's the point of stressing about it? So he really taught me that. And it was in a moment where I felt like the world was just, it was like a tornado for me. So I had to find something to hold on to. And I went to him.
Yeah. Similarly, the same story, how I stumbled upon him. It was very much like, it was, you know, I was like, who is this like character? Or not even a character. He's just this entity, right? This energy. And so much of his messages land with me as well. So I love Mooji, Mooji, if y'all not familiar with who he is and his messaging. And I wrote this quote down from just kind of in that same vein, in that same, you know, teacher, one of the teachers that I've not had the pleasure of meeting just yet. Like Mooji's a teacher I've not had a chance to meet. Same with Deepak Chopra. I've not had a chance to meet him, but I've watched him in person. He said, one of these quotes is, be willing to redefine yourself every day.
I like that.
I had a feeling you would, because you have evolved so much, and it seems like you really take your time in everything that you do. So can you talk about, just kind of from a perspective as a business owner, starting a business and reshaping and pivoting, and so that maybe someone who might be going through that right now can kind of find their own inspiration from it? So
so the reason I actually moved to Los Angeles to be a songwriter. So I dropped everything in Houston, moved down here. I'm like, I'm going to be the biggest songwriter in the world. I get here and I realize that the industry is not serving me. And I'm so big on things. When they don't serve me, I'm like, I'm good here. So I got into it and I decided against it. And I was like, I'm just going to work for myself because I saw an opportunity. And Instagram at the time, it was popping. And I was like, oh, people are always asking what I have on. So I used that and I was like, let me just start a business. Did I think this was going to be what it was? No. But it helped me financially for 8 years or something like that. I realized after the pandemic, it wasn't serving me. So even though I was making like a lot of money every single month, it just didn't make me happy. So I was like, I don't want to do it. I feel like everything, when there's a feeling inside of you that says this is just not for you anymore, it doesn't matter that, you know, it's financially good or whatever, follow it, because there's always something bigger. There's always something better. So I left it, even though, you know, no one really knew what was going to happen after the pandemic or during the pandemic. And was I scared? Maybe not really. But then it was actually really tough for like 2 years, 3 years. That's like right now.
Okay.
So I didn't start seeing, like, I took that leap and I didn't start seeing progression until just now.
Okay.
So a lot of times I take that leap and I'm like, any day now. But one thing I know for sure is like, I'm always covered.
I love that. Okay. There's a lot in there that I want to, like, you know, tap into. But the one thing that came to my head, why were you not scared initially?
When I first moved to LA, I had a conversation with God, and God said, I'll never leave your side. Like, I heard his voice so clear. I'll never leave your side. From that day forward, I was like, okay. So everything I do is kind of like, and it's been proven over and over. If I take the leap, if I jump, if I'm like, I'll let go of $1 million because maybe $2 million will come. it always happens. Like whatever's in my best interest, God makes it happen. And he just does. So I'm never scared to change anything or whatever. I just go, I'm like connected with myself enough to know and hear the voice and just follow it.
Oh, I love that. For me right now, Chris, I am for me right now from an intuition space. I taught a yoga class today, and I really was, focused on primarily the throat chakra, and then also the third eye. And so for me, over the last few months, I've been really wanting to hone in and trusting my own intuition, even though, like you, God probably definitely whispered to me or shouted it, especially after my mom died when I was 19, that you're good. Even when I was applying for college, my mom didn't go to a 4-year university. I wasn't raised in a family where it's like, okay, we're going to go to this college and then we're going to set you up and we're going to pay. Like, no, I just applied for, honestly, it was like one of the easiest applications I could fill out by myself. And I sat there and filled it out and I was like, oh, sweet. I got in, okay, I guess I'm going to Auburn, and so for me, I love that that constant reminder, especially on this journey of being an entrepreneur and not having a big inheritance or whatever to fall back on for people to, like the people who I pray that my niece and my nephew can go out and just do whatever calls to them versus what they have to do. And I love that my sister-in-law and my brother are setting that pace for them, and as am I, and all that I do as well. But trusting your intuition is such a big thing, and it's not going to be really loud until it needs to be loud, right? Like until it needs to be something where I left my job in 2020 because I was like, I physically can't even make it to a computer to sign in by 9:15 without feeling like, oh my gosh, this is not bringing me joy.
Yep.
And I'm like, how do I want to feel every day when I wake up? I want to feel joy. And if this isn't doing it for me, then it's time to go. But unlike you, I would stay places that stopped serving me well after they were done serving me. But that's a lesson that I'm learning now, and something I'm so excited for other people, especially women, to really embody. We have this special intuition inside of us, this women's intuition that I wish more of us, like I said, including myself, trusted.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Yeah. I learned that too, like last year. Very recent. Like, always go with your first mind, girl. That first mind is the right one. Like, I had to really learn that I know what's best for myself. Doesn't matter who's around me who has another opinion about that feeling. It's like, I know what's best for myself. I've grown. I've learned myself. I've been alone. I've done the work to learn and whatever. So that first mind, I literally always go with. Even if it's like, why don't you take the trash out later? Because if you go out now, it's going to be 50 people around there. And then you go out and you're like, I'll take it out now. And then there's 50 people there. Come on. The feeling is there for a reason. So the intuition, the first mind, always right.
It's in that practice of the little things like that we think are little to where we strengthen our intuition, right? It's the small deposits where it's like, okay, so we have this. All right, I'm going to listen to my I love that. I love that so much. So y'all take that away. Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this big to do. It doesn't have to be this big, like, okay, trusting my intuition now to buy this brand new car and move into this house or get married. Like, girl, if you ain't been listening to your intuition, I'm going to need you to dial it back and decide whether or not you go to Trader Joe's or Erewhon today. Like, let's start there. Start small. We've touched on this already, but owning your power, it sounds like coming from trusting your intuition and your relationship with God. And I'm very much like, God is, the reason why we're sitting here today, like the reason why I'm getting to do this work each and every day. So And with that, how present of intuition and knowing thyself has helped you in all relationships? I don't delineate between friendships, relationships, business partnerships. It's like in all the relationships that you have in your life, and you might meet some resistance from people that try and like kind of hinder your intuition, but how do you manage that? How do you navigate that from a business and personal perspective?
That's been the toughest thing, honestly. It's very difficult because dealing with humans, it's like no one person is the same. So you can't say on Wednesdays, this person's going to do this.
Right.
Just like that person. You can't do that. So that's when it gets tricky. That's when you have to really like go back to knowing yourself and stick with like how it makes you feel. So if there's a business deal that you want to take, it just doesn't feel right, then that means it's not right. Even if it's like a $3 million price tag on it, if it feels bad for you, then that's your intuition. So I think just always making sure that you're doing what it takes to like be present with yourself. That's what's going to like really help when it comes to other people, mostly.
In that vein as well, the getting comfortable with wealth, like getting comfortable with knowing like, all right, my needs are met now because I've been like when the first thing happened where you were like, okay, all my needs are being met, all my, everything that I have is taken care of. I'm making money. I'm doing all these things. And then knowing that works and having the comfortability to say, I can pivot from this and still trusting that your needs are going to be met. Where did, what's that emotion how did you get comfortable with your needs consistently being met? Because some people fear, I know that this is speaking for me, like, well, if all my needs get met, how will I, be inspired, or what will drive me? Like, and how can I let go of my survivalist mentality and operate in the thriving?
Well, I had to change my relationship with money. So when I was growing up, it was just my mom. She had to figure out how to take care of us. We didn't know we were broke, but, sometimes we were homeless, sometimes whatever. And she did her best, So when we were old enough to realize that we didn't have, like, we had the 4 stripes instead of 3 stripes on the Adidas, we were like, oh, we po. So when we started realizing that, then that's our relationship with money when we're like old enough to understand money. So from there, we're like, we don't have enough money. So we're like, $5, we got to figure out how to make this stretch. Growing up, it's unhealthy to think that way. So a few years, actually, I think 2020, a lot happened in 2020. So I started reading You're a Badass with Money.
Okay.
By Jen Sincero.
Yeah.
And she pointed out The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. I read that book over and over and over because it helps you mentally have a great relationship with money. You understand how to think, how to position yourself to understand that money is energy. So if you're if you're grasping on to, think about it like, if in a relationship, if you're like so clingy to your partner's gonna be like, get away from me. But if you're like flowing with it, then it's easier for that relationship to grow. So that's how I had to think about money. And literally, when I started changing my mind to think that way, I made the most money I've ever made in my life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that's something where I speak that way for myself too. I talk in that same way, Chris, because I had to get out of that. Same with you. My mom was she was married, but we're going to go ahead and say light on the married.
Okay.
Like light on the married situation.
Okay.
Like there was a person there, but
Mm-hmm.
So, and needs were met, but like we didn't realize we were poor. We didn't realize, but it was like my mom was constantly working and all I saw was struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, dang, so this is like, so anytime I would make money, it would be like, okay, I don't really deserve this. So let me just do like, have this really, unhealthy relationship with it until I went to France for the first time. And I was like, I'm going to France and then I'm going to spend a day. We're going to be in Paris for a day and I'm going to shop in Paris, which is like a dream come true. Like for someone who was like, took themselves to Europe for the first time by themselves, like well into their 30s, like I was like, I'm going to have a shopping day in Paris. And I went in places and I just had a good time.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about, okay, well, gosh, I got to pay for this when I get back. I got to pay for this. And how am I going to do? I just went and I had the best time. And so that kind of a seed that was planted. Now it's still taking me, that was almost 5 years ago. And start being a business owner, being at a corporate job for my entire career and then stepping away from it. Like, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to make sure that because it's all on us. It was all on me. And I was like, okay, well, I just got to do it. And it was like, either I do it now or I don't at all.
Yeah.
I don't need to have it all figured out right now. It's like, what are we doing today? And then the next day, just like you said at the beginning of our chat. And it took me getting to very much like over the last few months, like, gosh, I just got so much money. I don't know what to do with it. I just didn't. This I talk about. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, another 100 million just hit the account. Here we go again. How am I going to decide? Are we going to go to, are we going to go to Saint Tropez for birthday just for the weekend? Really talking in that way. And when my friends are like, and even when I had lunch with a friend at the start of of my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, oh, making money is really easy. And she was like, I've never heard an entrepreneur say that. I was like, oh, it's so easy.
Yeah.
But the thing for me was believing in myself.
Exactly. Got to brainwash yourself.
That's what it is, right?
They always say like people who are, I don't know, who are entrepreneurs or whatever, you just got to be crazy. Like they're psychos. And it's like they're delirious half the time. And it's true.
So true.
We are the ones who are like, I got money. You can have like $5. $5. I got money. I'm rich. Yeah. And they're like, okay, you're crazy. But that's what it takes is believing in yourself, believing you have it, believing you deserve it, believing like it's going to come, whatever, every time. And then giving freely. If you see someone who needs help, I mean, I'm not talking about, there's a big homeless problem in LA. Okay. I'm not talking about all the.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like, let's say a family member. They need help and you're like, no problem. Don't worry about it. Here you go. It's fine. You'll see that come back to you tenfold. You'll see it. And it's just energy is what people don't understand. Whenever someone's like, I can't afford that, then I'm like, you just blocked your blessings just by saying that. So, and another thing I was going to say, in the book I learned, he says like, you can't plan for things that obviously didn't happen yet. You can't plan for failures to happen. You don't know that's going to happen. And all the tools that you're learning in this moment, that's why it's important to stay in the moment. You're building tools in order to take care of that issue down the road, if it ever comes up. So it's a really good read. It's very short.
Yeah.
It'll take you like 3.
Yeah.
Take like 3 hours, and it's packed with so much information. And if you brainwash yourself with this information, money is like, whatever. I don't even think about dollars anymore.
No,
I'm just like, so what do I want today? What's going to make me happy right now? I think I'll go buy a Porsche. Let's do it.
Which she actually did. Go and buy a Porsche.
I actually did.
And so I was texting with you, right? I was like, oh, so how's your day? I said, I'm like, how's your heart? And you're like, great. I just bought a new car. So tell us about that day. I want to hear about that day. Like, yeah, talk us through it.
Well, I actually, I got rid of my old car and I was like, I'm not going to get a new car because I want the Lambo truck. And then after I started researching a lease with the Lambo truck, I was like, this is so silly. You get 4,000 miles a year. Where are you going to go with that?
Where are you going to go with 4,000?
Where are you going to go with that? Okay. So I was like, Lambo truck can stay where it's at. But today I'm thinking about, I actually went and I was like, I want a Mustang truck. I went, God said no. He said no. So the people at the dealership, I don't know what their problem was, but they're like, we can't find your business in the system. And I'm like, that's so weird, whatever. So about a few weeks later, I was like, the Porsche looks nice on me. It's like an upgrade. Okay, I'll do that. Easy peasy. They got me in there the same day. And they got me my car the same day. And I was like, thank you. No one knew. I just went up there because it made me happy.
That's so, see, this is the thing. There's probably people sitting here like, what you mean? You just decided, right? But that story to me, that's why I was so excited for many reasons to chat with you, Chris, because when you did that and you shared it, it like took me back to remembering, like, I drove around my old car for like ever. Like, it was the first car that I bought myself. And I also just want to take a moment to, before I tell my story, to really give you your flowers mid our chat, because the way in which you own your power, you said to yourself, I am going to go today and do what makes me happy, and recognizing that when God says no, recognizing that everything is easy.
Yes.
Which will lead us into the conversation of ease into .me shortly, but everything is easy. I bought this car that I have now. I thought I counted myself out of it for years because I was like, oh, I can't afford to get. I had my job at Brookfield. It was like I could have bought a new car years ago, but in my head I was like, don't own, I can't, blah, 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 blah. I can't. Mm-hmm. And then I became an entrepreneur. So I was definitely like, well, it's going to be a whole process. I've got to like have all this bank statements, this amount of money, all these things. So again, taking myself away from tables that I didn't even have the bravery to fold out a chair and pull up to, right? Transparently. Until one day I was talking to a friend and I was like, and this was a podcast episode that I talked about on this specifically, where I was like, I need a new car. And we went, similar to your situation, got there. They couldn't find the key to the car that I originally showed up there to get.
Wait, so was it like, it wasn't the same car?
It was a different color.
A different color.
It was a different color. It was older. It had more mileage. The car that I was going there to get.
Oh.
But the car I ended up getting, newer, less mileage. A newer car, less mileage. No accidents had been in. And that was the key that was available.
And it was easy.
And I cried for 15 minutes in the bathroom after, because I was like, is this real?
You're so cute.
I was like, is this for real? Like, I was like, is this for real? Did I really just do this? Was this really just something that happened within? And we would have been in and out of there sooner, but they were like, couldn't find the key, all this other kind of stuff, but it was so easy. Mm-hmm. It was seamless.
Yeah. And when it's for you, it's easy.
Yep.
So if there's like I always tell people that, like, if it's just hard, if it's like, it means you gotta step slightly to the left or step slightly to the right or just pivot. Like, everything, it's not gonna look how you thought it would look. Most things that you want, they're not gonna look how you thought. So just flow with it. Like, if today ain't the day, then tomorrow will be. That means everything's aligning properly to get what you want or better. Or better.
Ooh, I love this. I want to talk about, because we are on the topic of ease. So a couple years ago, probably like 2 years ago, I was, like, saw Chris do this launch of ease, and I was like, oh my God, I need that hat. And I got a dad hat, and it was amazing. I wore it all the time. It probably is like dirty somewhere. That's probably why I ain't put it on, because it's like white. And I was like, okay. And I was like, ease, ease, ease. I was calling so much ease into my life at the time, because I was so scared, Chris. I was so scared. I was nervous, but I was like, okay, God, you said to do this. So but as law, you got to make it easy for me. No. But the thing is, it was like, but no, it was, God was like, listen, I've been making it easy your whole life. Are you going to listen? Because are you listening? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to listen. Right. I'm going to listen now. And so talk to us about the start of Ease Into Me, which is this incredible brand, and then kind of where that came from and where it is now with like amazing, just talk to us about it because I can't wait to share y'all to see.
Well, it's been a rocky road for Ease, which is funny because it's not easy at all.
Yeah.
But it started as like wellness. I wanted it to be wellness. And then I wanted it to be a blog. And then I didn't know exactly like what to make it. I got the idea, like all my ideas got in the shower. So the name came to me and I was like, Ease. Okay. I just went with it. So over time, it started I started with talking about products that were healthy for people or whatever. Started there. Then I went to jewelry, and now I have purses. I do accessories, which is actually really fun. I've been doing that since August, I think. Yeah, since August. But it's grown and developed. It's still developing. I think this is where I want to keep it. Now, separate from that, when I was creating Ease, I started thinking about, okay, what's something like different that I can do? And I stepped outside of my mind so far that I created a brand new product that has never been sold before. And I was like, okay. And then that's when I got my patent. So my patent is pending, but we're en route to making it a full patent. So, your girl gonna be a billionaire. Quote me on that.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, and yes, a billionaire. It's already happening. It's already happening. And I love that you create this platform. You have over 400,000 followers on Instagram. You also create pages specifically for women. You also step out as well, and you create subscription places as well, like things behind paywall, because I see that as you knowing, okay, your worth, and it's like creating all those things, and it's super inspiring for me. I definitely have been paying attention and like, all right, so I'm adding these different things to my offerings this year as well. So
good.
Talk to us about, creating those subscription paywall things and why that's important, especially for women.
So for me, I've struggled with, my dog is eating my ring. I've struggled with my image on Instagram.
Okay.
Now, just off rip, I like to be free. I like to be like, I wear stuff like this, which to me, I'm like, this is just pants and a crop top. But it's over sexualized a lot. So on Instagram, a lot of male creatures follow me on there.
You call them male creatures because it's like who they are. Sorry, Sam. We love Sam.
We love it, Sam. but it's kind of difficult to like post my body type without it being super over sexualized, which I get it. Fine. I can't like walk into somebody's grandma's house wearing half the stuff I wear and it won't be a problem. So I had an idea. I was like, well, why don't I just continue to be myself? Because that serves me. Taking pictures of myself and like basking in the glory of my body.
And they're beautiful, you guys. Like beautiful. If you're not following her, please follow because they're beautiful and tasteful. But
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Basking in the glory of my body is like, I love my body. There's nothing anyone can tell me. Like if someone were like, you ain't cute, whatever. I'm like, yeah, right. I don't believe you. So that makes me happy. So I continue to do it. But I hide it from the general public who they don't appreciate it the way that they should.
Yeah.
So that's why I made up the subscription service because I'm like, and people confuse it with OnlyFans. It's literally nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I was like, I see that there's people selling digital photos of themselves and making money. And I'm like, well, this would make sense for me also. So I started doing it.
And I loved how you just said that it is the over-sexualization that happens, especially to women with curves, especially to, Black and brown women as well. So you're again, going back to our first initial conversation, I'm taking my power back. Mm-hmm. Like if y'all are going to be out here trying to limit me, restrict me and whatnot, like you're not like, there's definitely more nakedness on the internet than on Instagram specifically than one would kind of like expect. However, do you. But the thing is like you were like, okay, I'm going to take my power back and I'm going to create a business. I'm going to create the fact that I'm art and people and I've said this before, you can't tell people what they can afford and you can't tell people what they will and will not buy. Right? So you put the product out there, you put your beautiful art, your photos and offering out there, and then people buy it and they honor and in honor of that. So y'all, if you're thinking about doing something where you're like, I want to create art, I'm getting out of your head of what other people might think.
Exactly. Because a lot of people think that it is what it's not. And I'm like, that sounds like a personal problem. Yeah. I know what it is. I know myself. I know what it is. I know it makes me happy. And that's all that matters. Also, I wanted to say, when TikTok first, started getting popping, oh my goodness, I couldn't post anything. They would flag everything I posted. It didn't matter. I could be wearing this and they would be like, nope.
Interesting,
right? But you scroll and you see some other stuff and you're like, her whole booty out.
It's like, I see everything where children could possibly come from. And it's like,
and I'm like, what is the problem? So I don't know if people were flagging me or if they have a system that just scans body types or whatever. And they're just like, this is too sexual. And I'm like, but I'm literally I'm running on the beach like her. It's just, I guess it's bigger. So.
Yeah. I mean, so you know how big, we back to God. God gave me this. We've been together since I got here.
I got flagged for everything. Flag. They used to not let me post, tag my products because of the same thing too.
Interesting. And so you're like, okay, no more of this.
No more of this. So I mean, there are a lot more lax with it right now. On TikTok at least, but I still get the same thing on Twitter. And on Twitter, you see everything. You see some things you don't want to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I'm like,
y'all just flag me.
Yeah. That's like, so when all of that is happening, right? When got your business, you're being, flagged, you're being targeted, you're being admired and even, loved up on all these sort of things in all of the ways in which you, I kind of know a little bit, but I want you to tell people that how do you take care of you? Self-care, me time, like what does that look like for you and how you decide this doesn't feel good to me. I'm going to take time over here. But also when you're like, okay, I got something going on right here. I can't really take my me time. What's self-care like for you, Chris?
I spend a lot of time alone. Self-care for me is being alone.
Okay.
Because I'm in my own element. I got my smells going. I got my music going. I got my peace and privacy. And I'm literally doing whatever I want to do in that moment. So that for me helps me press the restart button in a lot of situations. And I know and that's an important thing. Life is just not, you can practice being, I guess, positive all the time, but things are going to come.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to pivot, how to make it work for you, how to take time for yourself. And what I try not to do is talk about the bad things.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I internalize it. I just try not to talk about it. So I'll go home and I'll think about it and then let it go in my own manner. So self-care is doing that and obviously living in the moment. Because if there's something that's bothering me, I do this. I touch plants a lot.
I love that. Well, yeah, because these are like my plants, they need to be dusted or whatever, but they're talk to us. Yeah, they're energetically this one literally goes to the sun.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like, why wouldn't we learn?
I touch plants. I literally look at this plant. Look at it just sitting here all beautiful and stuff. And look at me worried about whatever just happened. That's already passed. That doesn't matter. So I make a huge effort to do that. And that's how I stay sane these days.
Listen, we all have to have our process. We all have to have our, the ways in which we take care of ourselves because the world will take everything.
Oh, yes, it will.
If you let it. The world will take it all and leave you just kind of sitting there like, what just happened? there's one thing that really stood out what you just said, and I actually just posted about this on my Instagram this morning. Forgiveness. And it was something from one of my teachers, Miriam Hasna. Do you know Miriam Hasna?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I think you'd really love her. Miriam Hasna, she has a school, New Earth Mystery School, and we've talked about this before in the podcast. She tweeted something. Forgiveness is about forgiving. It's forgiving people back their energy you were holding on to that never belonged to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a whole podcast episode on forgiveness, which we will continue to have podcast episodes. But what is forgiveness to you, and how has it helped you be where you are today?
Forgiveness has released me from the problem, from the issue, from the person, from the sadness, the anger, all of that, all the negativity. It's released me. So the favor that I've done for myself is to forgive other people. If I feel like they did something to hurt me or harm me or upset me or whatever the case may be, that's one thing I don't like, is having ties to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just weighs me down. So I'm just like, I forgive you, whatever, next. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been a big thing for me, but I was telling you transparently, and before we started recording about about being ghosted,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wait, okay, I've never been ghosted before. This is like, and when I tell people about it, they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, wait, this happens?
Oh yeah, it does.
It's so bizarre to me.
I've ghosted I'm a heartbreaker.
Oh, so we have a culprit here, guys. We have a ghost
I won't
culprit
sit here and say that I'm perfect. I've ghosted.
Okay, but but okay. So talk to me about the process of ghosting and then being ghosted, because I was saying that somebody's energetically had been living rent free in my head that has basically ghosted me, and I'm like, what's that about?
So let's talk about me ghosting people.
Okay.
So normally, I'll give them a heads up. I'll be like, hey, for example, I started talking to this guy, and then he told me, maybe the first time after we met, he said, oh, I forgot to tell you. Oh my God, I know your sister. I used to talk to her years ago. I'm like, that's real. And then I'm like, not attracted anymore, because you're attracted to my sister, I guess. So then I was like, oh, well, that's not gonna work for me. Let's just continue to be friends. And it's like none of that went into his head. He was just like, anyway, so I'm gonna keep, like, you want to meet up?
Well, so that's not a ghosting, though.
It's not. But after he didn't get it, then I was like, I'm just not gonna
you gave a heads up.
I did. So,
I feel like you give a heads up, that's not a ghosting.
But I'm sure I've ghosted people that I just can't remember.
Well, I mean, it's like, we probably all have. I probably have too, now that I think about it. If I think about it really, where it's like, you just stop talking. Like, you don't reach out or I don't reach out. But I'm like, to have had interaction and then no sort of heads up that this is happening. But we was talking every day, tough. And then it's like radio silence. It's very...
has that happened to me? I'm sure that's happened to me. And I think eventually I was just like, whatever. Because that's when a person becomes unattractive.
Yeah.
If you're not pouring into me, if you don't want to talk to me, if you're making me feel like a burden in your life, you got it.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. And then that's where I start the process of, okay, this person doesn't want me around, so I'm not hurt about it. I'm just like, they just ghosted me. That's unattractive.
It is so unattractive. And it's so like, okay, I think I'm a pretty cool, I know for sure I'm a pretty cool person. And I know I'm like beautiful. So, all right, well, best of luck on your adventures. But what I love about and again, here's a vulnerable moment for me. Even in all my practices, in my yoga, in my forgiveness, in my meditation, all these things, it's like my feelings still get a little hurt, right? Where you're just like, okay, well, what happened? And then you work to not internalize it, which is like, again, me trusting my intuition and building upon all of these practices that I've been doing most of for the last 16 years. But yet and still we're human, right? So allowing yourself to have those human moments, if that does happen to you, if something does come up for you. But I just thought it was like, it's giving me, because much like Chris, we entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
we bosses, so it's just giving me ideas. And so what's going to happen is it's going to make me some money.
Okay.
So and we'll talk about what that is going to look like in
Pivot.
another episode. But listen, we're going to, the pivot. The pivot.
Make
It's
it
like,
work for you.
Make it work for you. It's like, oh, thank you so much for this idea, sweet
There
friend.
you go.
See you never. Best life to you, or the one that you deserve.
Shade.
Was that shade?
Shade.
Oh, back to, I'm a yogi, but I'm in Baltimore.
Yeah, I
know. Okay, before we just start to wrap things up here, I just, how Chris and I met were from, we met through yoga at the yoga studio, and I just loved her energy. We connected. And she said her name was Christina at the time, but then I just talked to her, asking, okay, so what are we calling you? What do you want me to call you? And she said, Chris, period. And I said, okay, go on.
Go on. I'm listening.
I'm listening.
First, I hate when people call me Christina because I'm like, those are fighting words.
Okay.
What do you... Christina. Okay. And then Sierra, I think Sierra calls me Chrissy. My mom calls me Chrissy. And funny stories, I was like, never mind. Anyway, somebody called me Chrissy and I was like, huh? It was just, it snaps me out of whatever I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
And then, so I go by Chris now. I've changed my name a lot, but I go by Chris, period, because I feel like I don't have a last name. Okay. My mom's last name is Jackson. My father was not there for us, yet all his children have his last name. And I'm like, you don't get to do that. So if I had it my way, I do have it my way. I just cancel my last name, make a new one. Also, I'm taking it back. My family, we're African and Scottish, I believe. Yes. So I feel like that Christina is not my name.
Yeah.
Anyway, Christina Rogers is not my name. Christina Elizabeth Rogers. Who is that? That doesn't even feel like me. So I'm just like, whatever. I go by Chris. I feel like that's why I changed my name so many times. And then I just dropped my last name. I'm like, my father doesn't deserve to have his name attached to us.
Yeah.
Yet he does. All his children have done wonderful things. One's a lawyer. One's a marshal, a police officer in the Army. Sierra's a business owner. I'm a business owner. I'm like, we're great kids, But it's like he gets that, these are my trophies, So it's petty, but...
Well, we're inviting that into season 2 here of Joy for Life, because there's a little bit of shade and there might be a little bit of pettiness, but it's all in love and it's all in the name of recognizing that, listen, we're human and people, we've been giving out ourselves. We give ourselves. I know you're such a generous person. You have such a generous heart. And you take care of a lot of people, both mentally, spiritual, physically, emotionally, financially, you've given. And the thing is, it's not that you're doing it in order to get something in return from the person that you're helping. Very much back to the comment that you made. It's listen, I'm giving it because I can. Mm-hmm. We're doing all this because we can.
Yeah.
Right? We have these businesses and attain this massive amount of wealth, and we're doing... And what are we going to do with it, right? So what are you going to do with your knowledge? What are you going to do with your education? What are you going to do with your money? Because you can't take it all. You can't take any of it with you.
Right.
And so leaving whatever legacy looks like for you here. So yeah, I want to know, what are some things that you're up to right now and some things that you can maybe talk about that are going on for Chris, period, in the future?
Before I do that, I want to stress one thing.
Okay.
Now, giving.
Let's get into it.
Financially, spiritually, emotionally, whatever. Okay. If you don't feel it, if you don't feel that in your spirit, don't do it.
Okay.
There's one thing I learned about giving.
Okay.
Whoever, it's like you're giving something to a person, you're attached to that person energetically, and you have to be careful with that. So if you don't feel the need to, for example, give to the guy on the corner because he looks like a demon, don't do it, because that's an energetic exchange. So even, yes, give freely, but be careful. Always stay in tune with yourself. So you know that, what's the word we used? Your intuition.
Intuition.
There we go. Your intuition will tell you what's a good give and what's not. That's emotionally, spiritually, financially, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to stress that.
Okay.
So I don't give to like everybody, you know.
Yeah.
I'm very selective but I do give freely. So what I have going for me now, I think, you know, last year was mid-year. Okay. The beginning of the year was amazing. Then my birthday came and I feel like it just went shoo. Like I felt like the world was like, just came and gave me a quick 2-piece real quick. So I like to say I was under the bed because it was real rough. It was like tough. So this year, let me back up. So before that crash, I remember I used to write things down. I used to have this vision board on my wall. I reached every single goal I had for myself. And I remember, I remember taking all the vision things off my wall and just being like, I can't believe you did that. You actually did everything you said you were going to do. And then after that, it's like the rug was pulled from under me. I lost so many things, which I didn't really lose anything, but it felt like that. So I took the time to start creating this year, habits more than goals, because I just want to make sure that once you reach the goal, you're at the top of the mountain. Where are you going to go next? Yeah. And the feeling behind it was you reach this and you're burnt out. So this year I'm taking time to be present, to be in the moment, to just flow into a rhythm, to flow with what feels like no, flow with what feels like yes, so that I'm able to like continue and keep going. So literally, I don't have any goals this year. I tried to write on my whiteboard, erased it every time. I just go with what feels right. So yeah, as soon as my patent is completed, then I'm like, okay, I'll start working again. But for now, I'm riding around on my porch, listening to whatever I'm listening to, baby. Yes. Okay? And working out and stuff.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. Riding around on my porch. You know, listen to whatever I want to listen to.
Yes, loud too. They probably like, girl.
Loud.
My watch be like, ma'am, you're going to be deaf.
Mine been telling me too. I'm like, I'm grown. I can listen to music as loud as I want to, right? Okay. I just want to thank you so much again, sis. For being here. There are so many gems that you dropped in this conversation. We got to have you back. I know this is like just the first of many, but you are such an inspiration to me and so many people, and you bring me so much joy since the first time I met you. You are a light. You own it. You own your beauty. You own your sexuality. You own your softness, your femininity, and also the masculine when you need to. And so meeting you have taught me how to own more of my sexy, to be quite honest, and own more of the feminine soft side that I get to have, even if like, you know, I'm handling all the other things that we got to handle as business owners, but just tapping into that. So thank you so much. I love you so much. And y'all, we will definitely make sure to tag where you can support Chris and get her amazing bags and just follow her mission and what you are doing in life. But you want to tell us like where to follow you and anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, so follow me on the gram, Chris period ChrisSPeriod. And my website is easeinto.me. And we got cute purses. We got every color. Okay. More coming soon. So that's all I got going for now. Enjoy.
I love that. I can't wait to get one. I'm looking at a few for birthday. Okay. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today's conversation was fantastic. I can't wait to have, we have more guests, more women who are just like doing a thing in the community and for themselves. And so until next time, stay brave in your pursuit of joy. And we will see you soon. Deuce. Bye.